Hello, my lovely, lovely friends. I hope you are doing well today. I certainly am. It snowed more, and it actually stuck, and I got to walk around in it, and it's been amazing and beautiful and awesome. So that's a thing. So Nintendo just posted their quarterly financial report, had their whole investors brief and all that stuff, all that good stuff. There's always a lot of fun stuff that comes out of these. Not really any one thing worth making a whole entire video about. So I was kind of considering just doing one video, kind of rounding all of that stuff up. But then I got to thinking about how there really are so many little stories, little Nintendo-related stories that have popped up over the last week. Again, not any one thing quite worth doing a whole video over. So I got to thinking, what about experimenting with Nintendo news roundups again? A few years ago, 2020 through 22 or 23, I don't even know if I quite went that far. I was doing news roundups pretty regularly, and kind of sad news for fans of the Nintendo news roundup. I was actually planning a whole just a revamp, a reimagining of the Nintendo news roundup. I was gonna up production. I was gonna put myself in the videos with I had a tie and a cool background. I was gonna get a whole animated intro thing made, and I was just gonna scale up production, but unfortunately, the roundups just kind of stopped working. You know, they just weren't doing super well. And as the whole Switch hype cycle died down, kind of everything on the channel, I have to be a lot more picky about what I try. Sure, it's possible that if I had scaled up production, then that would have helped. But at the same time, topical videos aren't good on the main channel. That's why I made Topic Arlo, so I don't have to worry about the view averages and viewer retention and all that stuff. It's just whatever. So I feel like this is a good opportunity to bring it back and try it out. Yes, it will be in the Topic Arlo format of just kind of whatever B-roll on the screen. So this is still a very scaled back effort. However, I do have a treat for you. As part of this whole reimagining thing, one thing I successfully managed to do was commission music for this News Roundup 2.0, as we were referring to it. I had a lot of problems with a lot of other elements. It's not even just the views. I also just I couldn't figure out a logo. I was having a hard time there. So lots of stuff I couldn't figure out. But we did figure out the music. Northman, who did all the music for Arlocast, his Animal Crossing covers are, that's what always plays on my Starting Soon and BRB screens when I'm streaming. His music is amazing. And he actually made a whole bunch of music for this News Roundup 2.0. So we might as well just use it now. I've just been sitting on this for years now. So here we go. So that's a nice little treat. All the music in this video, it was created for this purpose. So I'm gonna start this is the theme that begins every single one. So you're gonna hear a little blippy little intro part, and so you imagine. I just need you to shut your eyes and imagine that a really cool animated logo kind of comes on, and then it kind of hangs there for. You'll hear it. You'll get it when you hear it, and then it kind of hangs there. And then imagine a really cool transition, animated transition away from the logo to me wearing my very snazzy tie and with a cool red and blue background behind me, and I'm holding papers like a news anchor. So I just picture all of that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over some of the smaller stories, and then we're going to end with all of the extra juicy financial report stuff. So here we go. Welcome back to the Nintendo News Roundup. I'm Arlo. Let's read the Nintendo news. The PlatinumGames situation is still very strange. It seems just about every day we're getting reports of more and more key people leaving the company and going and joining Hideki Kamiya over at Clover's. It seems that the company's kind of just collapsing. And weirdly enough, a number of games have disappeared from their website. Essentially, games are just being erased from the record as things that the company created. Notable games include Mad World, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutants in Manhattan, Transformers Devastation, Soul Cresta, and most notably, to a Nintendo fan such as myself, Star Fox Zero. Very weird. Very strange that these games specifically have been removed. And, you know, I look at Star Fox Zero TMNT Transformers. Okay, well, is it because these were like collaborative efforts and they're just removing games that they worked on with other IPs? I don't think that's the case, though. Bayonetta 2 and Bayonetta 3 are still on the website, and Bayonetta Origins. Astral Chain, which is a Nintendo IP now, like that's still on there. So I really don't know why these were removed. It could have something to do with the specific people who worked on them. Perhaps if enough of these people who have left the company, they've left and who worked on these games, then they remove it from the website. I really don't know. It's very strange, and it's also just like a bad look for them. It feels very unprofessional. Like if you're a company and you've made a game, that's on your resume. You can't you can't just like remove that. And it's especially weird that they would want to take away Star Fox Zero, like working on something with Nintendo. That was a really big deal. I don't know. It's possible that it's because it didn't review very well. I really don't know. But then like Mad World, that was kind of a cult classic back on the Wii. So I really don't know. It is strange, but we'll see what happens next in this weird story. Good Smile is re-releasing their Kirby Planet Robobot figure. It's a really, really nice figure, and they seem to be reissuing it. Wow, the Kirby, he sits in the robot. You can take him in and out of the suit. That's super cool. That's really cute. You put Waddle Dee in there? Okay, sorry, I'm really looking at these pictures for the first time. And the only thing that's a little bit strange about this is that we have very strong rumors that we're getting a remaster of Kirby Planet Robobot this year. You'd think that they would want to wait a little bit so that those could kind of coincide. But I don't know. Maybe they just want to get ahead of it. Or maybe this is not collaborative whatsoever. They just heard the rumors. They figure, hey, we're probably getting new Robobot this year. Let's just reissue, without Nintendo's input, let's just reissue this figure. So yeah, I don't know. Whatever the case, cool. Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition has officially been rated by the ESRB. It has been given a T14 rating. No surprise. And it seems that the download size, the file size, at least according to the Switch eShop, should be 13.4 gigabytes, which is actually substantially less than the about 20 gigabyte version on the Wii U. So despite being just a better version with better graphics and probably more content, smaller. Game optimization has come a long way. Very cool. Speedrunner Cosmic has achieved something pretty darn impressive on the original Donkey Kong arcade game. Because of a glitch, something about the way that the score is calculated or something, previously the furthest you could go in the game was level 22, despite the fact that there is more game after that, but apparently you just you score out and you win. It's basically the kill screen. I didn't know that. I thought the kill screen was just like Pac-Man and other stuff where you just have to play for so long that it breaks the game. Apparently not, and according to Cosmic, he thinks this is a good thing because, going for records isn't just endurance. It isn't just playing for hours and hours and hours. There was actually a good ending point. But it seems that for the first time, he has taken it past this point. This was tool-assisted. This is some inputs that are probably just strictly not possible by a person. But by utilizing a pretty cool glitch, he was able to get Mario to do a little ladder climbing thing where he floats to the top of the screen. And because of this, he was able to take the game a little bit further. Not really much further at all, but still frontiers which no Donkey Kong player has ever reached. So that's very cool. Ex-PlayStation executive Shuhei Yoshida has been doing a whole bunch of interviews, which is really cool. We've been hearing a bunch of really awesome, just candid details about his time, effectively co-running PlayStation. Not the sort of insight we normally get. And one fun little detail was he talked about the scariest moment of his entire career was when Nintendo dropped the price of the 3DS and announced that Monster Hunter 4 would be an exclusive for it. Because previously, Monster Hunter was doing really, really well on the PSP. That was one reason the PSP was selling. And then all of a sudden, the 3DS gets the next Monster Hunter exclusively, and they were like, well, at least both of our systems are like the same price, right? And then Nintendo drops the price by like $80, and he says that was the scariest thing that ever happened to him while running PlayStation. Awesome. Couple pieces of Zelda news. Some Zelda fans took to Kickstarter to try and fund their Zelda live-action fan film called Lost in Hyrule. Seems it was going to take place after the events of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, which is definitely very, very fan-pleasing territory, I can tell you that. They were seeking $30,000 through Kickstarter, and Nintendo stepped in and said, no, do not do that. So they are not going to do that. And honestly, I know like sometimes people do these things just kind of like hoping that it works out, but a Kickstarter, especially one that's going to get reported on by like news publications, like it's literally impossible. Like it's actually impossible to get away with that. It's not going to happen. You cannot collect money to do your Nintendo related thing. So I don't really know quite what they were expecting. But whatever the case, it's not happening anymore. Unfortunately, I think such a thing would be cool to see, but oh well. Like, especially with an actual official live-action Zelda movie coming, you couldn't have picked a worse time. Couldn't have possibly picked a worse time, unfortunately. Then ex-Nintendo developer Takaya Imamura, who worked on a lot of classic Nintendo games, shared in an interview with Edge magazine that apparently he was very sad to work on Link to the Past, because at the time, he was so excited to play such a game himself, he didn't want to work on it and ruin the experience. And he says that, like, to this day, he's bummed about it, because he had to, like, do a lot of, like, debugging, like, QA stuff, so, like, just playing sequences over and over and over again. So not only was the game experience spoiled for him, but it was, like, extra spoiled. He just like didn't even want to look at the game ever again after that. So that's a very funny little piece of trivia. I mean, unfortunate. I can imagine. I mean, you know, Link to the Past was a really, really big deal at the time. I would not want to have completely missed out on that. That is a shame. Nintendo previously announced a big Switch 2 related Nintendo Direct happening on April 2nd, but now we have an official start time. It's kind of the usual start time for Nintendo Directs here in North America, Pacific time, 6 a.m. I'll have to get up nice and early, as usual. So there you go. Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, kind of out of the blue, got a demo on the eShop, which is a little bit surprising. I know there's not like necessarily like a definite pattern for like what games get demos, but I feel like remakes and remasters don't usually, and this one, I don't know, it's really not an impressive remaster, so this could be a response to low sales. We've heard that it's doing pretty decently in Japan, but we don't have like a bunch of official numbers yet because the thing like just came out. So I don't know. It could be that it's not performing as well as they wanted, and so they're throwing out a demo to see if they can move some more units. It is possible. Pokemon Day is on February 27th, and the Pokemon Company has announced that they're releasing a new animation. It will be called Dragonite and the Postman. I'm excited about that. I'm a big Dragonite fan. The little piece of art that they released is really, oh, it's like upside down. That's cool. Really cool art. This animation comes courtesy of Comics Wave Films. I'm unfamiliar with their work. Weathering with You, Your Name, Suzume. I don't know what those things are, but I'm sure it will be very cool. Nintendo recently delayed the launch of Alarmo availability for non-NSO members. Still not quite sure why, but apparently they are bringing the ability to rent an Alarmo to Universal Studio hotels, at least the ones in Japan. There's like a little list of hotels here where you will be able to rent an Alarmo and an AC adapter for the Alarmo for the night, for your stay, to make your Super Nintendo World stay just that much more Nintendo-y. Not enough to go to the park. When you're sleeping, you gotta be doing Nintendo stuff too, so that's interesting. And now we're here the juicy financial report stuff. It seems that in the final quarter of last year, the holiday quarter, October through December, the Switch sold another 4.82 million units, definitely representing quite a lot of slowdown, but still pretty darn good, and it has finally pushed the Switch past the 150 million mark. That puts it only 4 million behind the DS numbers. I think it will undoubtedly overtake the DS, and then the only thing left after that is the PlayStation 2 with its nebulous 160 million plus number that Sony has very conveniently kept very nebulous because I don't know, 160 something. Oh, I don't know. So at this point, if the Switch can continue to sell even just 1 or 2 million units per quarter, I think we could make it. I really do think it's possible. It does kind of depend on Nintendo if they do just any price drop at all, even just like on the Lite. Can you just turn the Switch Lite into the new, like, the 3DS, how the 3DS became the budget system, the kid system, the 2DS, the super duper cheap model. Just do it just to push you over that finish line. But if they don't, and the Switch 2 just replaces the Switch, everything is backwards compatible, everyone's, the 3DS sold a good number of units after the Switch came out, but it was also a dedicated system, and it was really, really cheap. So yeah, if there are no price drops at all, and if the Switch 2 is completely backwards compatible, and Nintendo just stops manufacturing the regular Switch, then it is possible that they won't make it. And I know that we care more than they do. We care about them, breaking the record. They don't. They're going to do whatever's best for them at any given time. But I don't know. I think we could make it. I really want to make it. This could be their last chance. This could be. I don't know. Maybe the Switch 2 will do even better than the Switch. But I feel like, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to do quite this well. You don't want to miss an opportunity to break that record and have that record just be broken potentially forever. Whatever. We've got some sales numbers for recently released games. Mario and Luigi Brothership has sold 1.4 million, which is, it's not bad. It's not great, but it's certainly not bad. All right. It is on the lower end of all of the recent string of Mario RPGs. I mean, you could potentially just look at it and see that each one has sold less than the last. Does that have less to do with the quality of each individual game and more to do with kind of a saturation of Mario-related RPGs? Super Mario RPG Remake sold however many, and then Thousand Year Door Remake sold less, and now Mario and Luigi Brothership, despite being an original game, sold even less than that. But I don't know, it'll probably go on to sell at least a few million. Slightly disappointing, considering this was the triumphant return of the series. Would like to see better numbers, but again, reviews were kind of mixed, so I really don't know. But then The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom has sold 3.4, which is perfectly fine. It's good for a Zelda game. It probably won't sell quite as much as Link's Awakening remake, but that's still a fine number, and it will probably continue to sell for a bit. And then Super Mario Party Jamboree has sold 5.6 million units, making it the fastest selling Mario Party ever, and it is already the 5th best selling Mario Party overall. And, I have no doubt that it is going to continue to sell, probably even into the Switch 2 generation, before they give us a new Mario Party. This is gonna stay the most recent Mario Party, and it's also just very good. It's probably the best Mario Party to come out in a really long time. So yeah, it is seeing great success because of all that. So then naturally, President Furukawa had the little briefing with the investors, and he answered some questions, and he had some fun stuff to say. When asked about the declining Switch sales, asked if maybe it had something to do with Switch 2 coming, he says, probably not too much. He says, "We don't think the impact of refraining from purchasing because of Switch 2 is that great. We think it's a solid 8th year, but we haven't reached our target." So he's admitting, like, yeah, it's still a little bit less than we wanted to, but I don't know, it's probably not necessarily because Switch 2 is coming. He said it himself. It's the 8th year. It's the 8th year of the system's life. There is only so much that you can sell of a product before you kind of reach a saturation point. And he says that Switch 1 sales will continue as long as there is demand. So I'm sure there will be demand for it, at least for a bit longer. Furukawa also says that they are very much aware that they need to price the Switch 2 affordably and competitively. He says, "In addition to the current inflation, we are aware that the exchange rate environment has changed significantly since the launch of Nintendo Switch in 2017. We also need to consider the affordable prices that consumers expect from Nintendo products. When considering the price of our products, we believe that it is necessary to consider these factors from multiple angles. At this time, we cannot disclose the specific price of Nintendo Switch 2, but we are considering it while taking various points into consideration." At this time, there are no plans to change the price of Nintendo Switch hardware. That's the disappointing part there. Really, just lower the darn price already. But basically, it's at least slightly comforting to hear him say this. He's saying, like, there are a lot of things to consider, and there are a lot of reasons why they're going to need to price it well. They're going to want to make money on units, and, you know, there's also the idea that at the beginning, the enthusiasts are going to buy it, and they almost don't even care how much it's going to be. And so they could have exploited that fact, you know? They could have just started out high and dropped it later. But so that's why I like hearing him say, like, no, like, people do expect affordability from Nintendo consoles. They just do. You're not buying this big, fancy, powerful box that's like the top of the line technology for consoles. People do indeed expect a Nintendo system to not feel like this big, expensive luxury item. They expect a certain level of affordability, and I know that they're gonna want to go as high as they possibly can. It's why 400 still seems like a pretty good sweet spot. Any higher than that, and it doesn't feel like an affordable product. It really does start to feel like I'm paying for a big, expensive luxury item. But I know there's like other economical factors going on right now, so ultimately we don't know exactly what. But he says they are thinking about it. They need to make money, but they also want people to feel happy purchasing Nintendo systems. He also comments on the whole scalping thing, of course, with a new system coming, the follow-up to a very, very successful thing. We're all just, you know, there are just hordes and hordes of hungry scalpers just like getting ready to act. They're sharks. They smell the blood. They're all circling. You know, there have been plenty of reports coming in that there's going to be quite a lot of units manufactured for launch, and Furukawa is assuring us again that they are aware of that whole situation. They're going to do everything that they can to prevent basically what's going on with Pokemon cards at the moment. Referring to scalpers, he says, "We will take all possible measures based on the experience we have accumulated to date. We are making preparations." Nothing specific, nothing about, you know, manufacturing 10 trillion units or whatever, but again, it's a thing that they're aware of, and they want the launch to go smoothly. And finally, on the topic of Nintendo's share prices, when they revealed the Switch 2, it wasn't like, you know, it didn't set the world on fire or whatever, so their share prices went down slightly. But before that point, their prices were at an all-time high. So I think everybody's kind of caught right now in this thing where the current system is selling worse and they're making less money, which makes some people want to like panic and dump their shares. But we've got the new system coming, which might like revitalize everything. So right now the shares are holding steady. Apparently they went up another 3% recently and are at yet another all-time high. So like Nintendo is still, right at this moment, the most valuable that they have ever been, which is very cool. And that's during a slow year. That's during like the slow final year of the previous system's life. That shows a lot of confidence coming from their investors. That's not, you know, everybody could just cut and run right now. Because even if the Switch 2 is slightly less successful than the Switch 1, then those share prices could go down from, even if it's just a little, they could go down. But they're holding steady. They are that confident in Nintendo. So that's it for this edition of the Nintendo News Roundup. That was a nice long one, but I figure I'd lean into it. I'm putting a bunch of stories together anyway. You know, people are already just listening to this while they do dishes or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. What's a super long video from time to time? Yeah, we'll see how it does. We'll see how people respond to the idea of the News Roundup coming back. I can't make any promises one way or the other at this point. We'll just kind of see how things go. But yeah, if y'all like this kind of thing, like rounding up all the tiny little stories into one place, then there you go, do it. All right, I'm gonna get these files to Kane, and I'm gonna finish up some other work, and then I'm gonna wait until school is out, and then I'm gonna go play in the snow with my nephews.